That lets you double up on your lab recruiters and your pogo hoppers to have an army of giant bunny mechs. Growl sharks are pretty awesome. They combine piracy and deception, two of the most fun things in Hearthstone.
But now it's time for the final fight of the night. 2 teams remain. Are you guys ready? This one's for all the marbles, so make sure you give it all you've got. So if you live a life of the sea, and you live for the salt in the brine, and the wind in your sails, if you love the search of booty, then let's hear it for Growl Sharks!
Yeah! Sharks!
And if you'd rather sneak through the crowds, pickpocket some people, stick to the shadows, and never be seen and get out without anyone ever seeing you, then let's hear it for the Rogues! Yeah. Good effort, but I think Growl Sharks have it this time.
Would you be willing to say they bribed some judges?
Let's take a look at the next pirate-related card. Cannon Barrage is a 6-mana rogue spell, deals 3 damage to a random enemy, which can go face, and then all of your pirates grab their cannons and then they shoot them. It's awesome, and let's show it to you right now. So, we got a board full of pirates. Our opponent has a pesky taunt in the way, so we're just going to launch a bunch of cannons at him. And now that the taunts are out of the way, we can attack with our pirates. It's like Bloodlust, but better. So whether you're a spellcaster, a warrior, a fighter, a dirty cheater, we hope you enjoyed yourself today at Rastakon's Rumble. If you're interested, if you're as excited as we are about the missions and the upcoming solo content, we have a panel tomorrow at 4:30 in which they'll go over all the details with our mission team. Yeah?
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Right now, you can pre-order on the website, and if you do, you'll get this cool Rastakhan alternate hero. He's a shaman hero, and you'll be able to play him immediately. This expansion launches on December 4th. We are incredibly excited about Rastakhan's Rumble, and we hope you are too. Thank you again for joining us, and have a wonderful Blizzcon.
Thank you for attending Hearthstone What's Next. Coming up, World of Warcraft What's Next?
What's all this about a switch up? You're gonna instigate a change in heart. It's not a case of a real quick fix up when it's an intricate and subtle art. Come back here, you're not done yet. You've done your part, but there's still a threat. So raise your hands and show them who we are. We're alive.
Score in favor of Stats, our Korean Protoss, against Special, our Mexican Terran player. It has been a bloodbath of a series so far, Rotterdam, and I can't wait to see how it ends.
The games have been very messy and very scrappy, but above all, they've been so hard to call, right? And I think as StarCraft fans, that we obviously are of the game as well, that's all you want when you watch a game. You don't want to know who wins at minute 3 and then it gets dragged out. No, these games have been pretty back and forth and very, very competitive.
It's been absolutely electric, and as we kick off our next map here on Acid Plant, give a cheer for our blue Terran player, down 1-2. He needs your support. He's special! And on the other side, his opponent, one map went away from advancing closer to that coveted World Championship title. He is Stats!
Stats, of course, still in a good position and should still feel pretty confident with the way that he's been playing this week so far. But must be nice for Special, finally snapping that loss streak. Of course, he had that big victory last year, then he lost 9 maps in a row against this man until that game we just saw on Blue Shift, and that should be a lot of momentum in your favor right now.
It's got to feel great, and we talk about how this series has been playing out. Very Terran versus Protoss-y. We see the Terran putting the barracks somewhere else on the map. The Protoss confirms it early on so that they don't take the fast expand. You want to know if it's in the Terran's base as well, because you do want to fast expand if they're going to go for a quick one themselves. But you see the double gas, which tells you there'll be a factory after a Reaper 99% of the time. So Stats, he's just going to drop that cybernetics core, and let's find out where this goes. How aggressive does Special want to be?
I don't think very aggressive. Well, unless he goes for the proxy factory here. Maybe this could be some weird marine tank even. It could also just be Marine Cyclone. We'll see where he takes it. Stats, of course, has shown us that he likes to respond to the proxy with his own proxy, going for that Stargate. But that's a little bit risky because there are moments where, as a Protoss, of course, you're going to be able to kill a couple of SCVs in the main base of the Terran. But if you don't have enough at home to fight Cyclones, you can straight up end losing the game.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about going for that Stargate follow-up that he's done so far as his response to the proxy every game. And there it is, that Stargate on the west side of the map. The Cyclones can deal with it. The fast factory, okay, it's not in his base this time, so he's not going to be able to get a fast Widow Mine to defend. And we've also seen him just kind of use the SCVs to repair a little bit to buy the time as well. So I'm very curious if Special shakes this up at any point. But so far, it seems he really likes sticking to the Cyclones.
I am very curious to see how this plays out, because I feel like if the Stargate was at home, you can obviously tell Stats like, hey, you can actually just go Phoenix here too. Phoenix Stalker does pretty damn good against a one-base Terran player. Once again, Special scouting, and he finds it. He finds the Stargate again on the left side. Maybe hasn't totally seen it yet, but he's going to see it soon, because that is a big red dip on our minimap. So we'll see missile turret already, Nate. So where's that eBay? He built the eBay at home this game.
He did that very quickly, and you know, I guess he's already adjusted himself. He's saying, well, Stats has been going for Stargate every game. If I'm going to build my tech on the other side of the map, the only way that I'm going to be safe is to just get a fast missile turret. And yeah, you can do some cheeky stuff. You can park an Oracle by one of the refineries, grab a few SCVs here and there, but Cyclones come back to defend. They're going to push some of these units away. That barracks is floating home. He could get a quick tech lab on it, try to expand behind this. You know, he doesn't have to commit to a one-base push like we saw, like we have seen so far. But there you go. The turret just says hi to the Oracle. Bye, Oracle.
That Oracle is obviously going to be a little bit disappointed. The Cyclones are going to start working on this Stargate on the left side of the map.
I love this call because you talked about it. The natural follow-up to defend against Cyclones really well is going to be the Immortals. There is a fast robo facility to follow this up. Widowmine gets one of the Stalkers, but being able to deny even further harassment capability, only having one Oracle, no Phoenix, is really nice. These Widowmines on the run, though.
Yeah, but both of them still alive. These are these minor skirmishes in the beginning of the game that are very important. Even a Revelation being used, and he didn't pick off a single Widowmine. Stats is still on one base, already lost his target. If I'm Special, I'm feeling pretty good about his opening so far. And you know what's one of the best things about picking off a target as a Terran player? Is that there is no Phoenix, and Phoenixes are not just good against Cyclones, they're also very, very good against Banshees.
So he does spot this. Now, as you mentioned, of course, the Phoenix are going to be able to chase down Banshees really easily because he can't get them. That hurts, but he actually cancels the Banshee, cancels the Cloak. He's going to build a Raven, which you would also lose very quickly to a Phoenix if there was one on the map. So he should at least be able to build this, send it back. He's got the command center coming in, and it looks like that cheeky mine's going to go up front with a couple of these Cyclones to try and do some early pressure. But it's still just one base from Stats.
Yeah, do you think that Stats could potentially go for a Prism here and try to end the game?
If he does, then I really like the Raven. I mean, being able to push the Observer away is one thing, but Interference Matrix is one of the most powerful abilities that's been added to StarCraft in the last year, and using that to shut down a Prism is also huge.
That Stalker is working on the tech lab on the right
He started
side.
Cloak again. He's like, I promise, it's Cloak Banshees. Please.
I mean, Stats, his Nexus is late. Of course, the command center is being built in the main base, so this doesn't mean that Special has an insane economic advantage, but how often are you looking at a TVP where Terran is up 4 workers and their expand is almost done while Protoss didn't even start their expand yet?
So here's my concern, Rotterdam. You mentioned this on the last map, is that the ramp that goes to where the natural is, we do have Special getting a bunker on the high ground. This is really important. My big concern becomes, like you said, Stalkers can kind of poke that front area. They don't have to risk going up a ramp. So even if you can kill the Observer, that's nice. But it looks like he's going to lose the starport too, and that's it happens, but you don't want it to happen.
The factory made it home though, right? And
yes.
Wow, look at that very fast Disruptor Bay or Robo Bay.
It could be a Disruptor Bay. That's one way to call it.
I wonder what that's for. We'll keep a close eye on it. Of course, you know, we know that he likes Colossus, but this feels too early for Colossus. He doesn't really have any units to back that up. Could be for a Speed Prism. This is one of those games where a Speed Prism wouldn't actually be that crazy. But Stim is already on the way. First Immortal starting too. Now, of course, the fact that he was able to save his factory means that he's able to build a tank. And that tank is going to allow Special to eventually secure this area where the Stalkers currently are at. And then it's still really not bad for our Terran.
Shout out to the awareness, by the way, on the part of Stats. He knows he wants to have the Observer able to see the ramp. He knows there's a Raven, but he's got the Observer in that, deployed mode where it can see more around itself.
The NTF2 mode.
Yeah, but it's also just outside the range of the Cyclone, so they can't lock onto it. The Marines aren't going to go down the ramp, and the Raven, you're not going to try to drop an auto turret to snipe that Observer. So he sends the Raven across the map. He's like, you know what? I'll try to get a few probes. It's better than nothing, and it is going to be the Disruptor Bay, as it seems. That siege tank, ooh, losing that would be catastrophic. The Stalkers go for it, he gets it! Picks off the tank for just a Stalker, and that is going to really limit the ability to move down here. So here comes the auto turret harass. We have 2 probes killed.
But a lot of lost mining time as well, and that really hurts for a Protoss that doesn't have a great economy to begin with. So I think this Raven harass is paying off, but you're right, what a snipe there by Stats.
That tank was so important, and that Observer could only just see that bit of a lip by his base too. If he puts it by the depots, he can't see that.
That's unreal. I mean, this Raven is doing work, though. That's a lot of lost mining time. So even though Stats is doing a great job in slowing Special down, Special's also, returning the favor to some degree and slowing down Stats a little bit. Is Special aware yet of the Robotics Bay and of the Disruptors? Has he seen that? Has he caught a glimpse of it? Yes, he did. At least the Robo Bay.
That's really important. The Raven was able to get a scout, and also he was already building siege tanks to try and deal with the Stalker pressure. Yeah. So it just kind of works out for him. He says, hey, well, I could just continue to keep building siege tanks. We've seen that is how Special likes to respond to this style, and that Observer is going to try to get away, but with the Raven, nope. Oh, nope, he got it. Nice.
Yeah, there are multiple ways that Terran players like to play against Disruptors, right? And above all, a lot of Terran players really dislike going up against the unit in the first place, but then I feel like there's often 2 options. Either you create utter chaos all around the map and you start dropping left, right, and center, because that obviously is very annoying. Disruptors are good, but mostly when they are being protected by other units.
You also have to be careful firing those things around your own base as well.
Exactly, because then you're going to blow up 7 probes of your mineral line. You don't want that. The other approach for Terran players is like, all right, slow and steady wins the race here. I'm going to get a lot of tanks, Liberators, maybe some advanced ballistics way down the road.
Well, okay, so we got the Disruptors pushing the army back in the center of the map. That Raven, very exposed, gets picked off, but I do believe he was able to, he was moving that medevac into the main to try and get a Cyclone drop during all of this, and that one pylon was very exposed. He's going to try to go for some warp-ins to defend against this. The shield battery is there to help keep things alive, but boy, oh boy, that one pylon is sure carrying a lot of weight. Yeah, Cyclone's trying to kill probes with the shield battery is also funny to watch.
I would love to see those Cyclones actually work on that pylon, Nate. I mean, sure, there was a shield battery that was going to be able to keep it alive a little bit longer, but I absolutely believe that Special could have taken it out. And empowering that many gateways, especially if you're moving around with an army in the middle of the map, could be massive.
Yeah, I mean, one important thing to keep in mind here is that we have a very even cadence between two players when it comes to taking the bases, and it's very often that we see the Protoss get those forges early that we talk about, get the third a bit faster than the Terran. Having the third base go up at this time for Special does take a little bit of the pressure off. He needs to be careful with how much he commits here.
And he's a little bit out of position as well. Now Blink is finishing up, so I do think that Stats is going to be able to keep this Nexus safe. But, you know, even though there was no massive on power, as the Oracle gets picked off on the top side of the map, that's another nice little victory for Special. The work count is insane. I mean, Special is...
He doesn't need to attack right now. What he needs to do is defend his third base, especially because he's building it on location. It's a powerful army from Stats, but as a Terran player, you're ahead economically, and you're keeping pace in terms of expanding. You really just want to make sure you don't drop the ball and get caught off guard by a disruptor shot out on the field while you're multitasking.
Yeah, even though it maybe felt that the Cyclones could have gotten even more, I actually think they really did a reasonable amount of damage, especially after the Raven. Ooh, that Purifier Nova didn't actually go totally forward. The Cyclones again being annoying on the other side of the map. They will get this pylon and maybe a Stalker or two. That's about it, but that's still not a bad trade at all.
Two Stalkers and a pylon there. I mean, considering everything that's going on across the other side of the map, not bad. These Disruptors do get some nice shots off, though, onto the army of Special. Some of the bio is still there, but this kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. Special has shown us a bit of his range. He's going into tanks. We're not seeing that Widowmine style that we saw to kick off map number 1. And another thing that I know Artosis was definitely hoping for in this match is the Liberators. And one of the things that Special will do is also get that Liberator range at a decent speed. Liberators with range do an amazing job of pushing units back. If you can get upgrades for those where they can two-shot the Stalkers, that has huge impacts on your ability to choke out a Protoss.
Yeah, second Forge going down. War Prism speed is currently being researched. The High Templar Archives is going down as well. It seems like Stats is now in a phase where he says, like, all right, I've got these Disruptors and I'm going to use them to buy a lot of time. If there is one thing that's very, very difficult for a Terran, it's attacking into Disruptors. With just bio, you can't really do that because we just saw what happens. They just run back, they shoot forward a couple of those Purifier Novas, and you end up losing a lot of supply. So you got to do it with tanks, but that obviously takes a very long time.
Another thing I love that Special has been doing in a lot of his matches, did this in his series versus Classic as well in round of 16, is the Sensor Tower. Terran players that use these, this is a great tool because those Disruptors are not on the fast side as far as the Protoss units go. He has a little bit of time to reposition if he needs to, and then, like we were saying, the Liberators. This did have an impact on his medevac count earlier on, probably the only thing I'd be a little bit nervous about, but since he's doing this instead of mine drops, he shouldn't be throwing too many away.
Wow, he's right on the edge. I wonder if that's being revealed or not. He's playing with fire there. But this Prism is incredibly fast. Of course, the Liberators can hurt, but I don't think Special has a lot in his main base. He probably... Well, actually, it's double
He's
turret.
done a good job with the turrets.
I still think on the left side, the Prism is going to be fast enough to get in there.
Yeah, especially if the potential for that upgrade that he's got there. We have turret gets a few shots.
Wow,
now the
reaction
Marines
time, though, Nate. That's
so
reaction
fast.
time.
He's a quick boy, and now we've got Liberators sieged up on the third base. This Liberator's going over towards the natural. It's going to look like force a couple of the defensive warpins. We'll still get a Stalker kill there, and the probes.
Oh my
goodness! Hits the fourth base at the same time, and he's going to be able to snipe it. Running away now. The Stalkers are going to try to give chase, but as long as he doesn't eat any big shots from those Disruptors in a good spot, the Warp Prism finally finds its way over towards the natural, but Special reacts in record time. We do not see those SCVs getting slaughtered too badly just yet. He's just bringing the army home, stimming it a lot on the way, as we might as well point out there. But 2-2 is on the way for Special. 2-2 is on the way for both players. That Warp Prism is still alive. I'm kind of astounded by that.
I mean, there's still Liberators that could maybe chase it down, put it in that corner a little bit further.
I'd like to see him use any Liberators to try and get rid of that. He starts a Viking, too.
And just now, Storm is being researched. Special looked very good there for that minute of the game. The way that he reacted that quickly against that Warp Prism with speed, and then at the same time, he was dealing way more damage with his Liberators and moving his bio units towards that fourth base. He was outplaying Stats there for a bit. It was very clear that Stats was babysitting that Prism, the way he was doing, obviously, such a fantastic job on Lost and found earlier. He was doing it again, but he wasn't really finding the damage that Special was actually finding.
Yeah, we see that. Finds the little scouting depot, drops the Zealots onto it. Good play with the Prisms so far. That's one thing Stats has been able to improve this game. We saw in earlier, the earlier macro game at least, and the recall, one Viking boy, not enough to finish that off. And, well, we've got another Prism who lived on our hands.
Where's Tom Cruise when you need him? Would have got the job done, Nate.
Would have done all the scenes in character as well. No stunt doubles. Sick plays.
Storm is close to finishing up. Another Liberator is going to show up, but this time Stalkers are in position to deal with it. That's a lot of siege tanks. Well, you got to be a little bit careful. Special a little bit sloppy there. Ends up losing a couple of these bio units.
Yeah, I do like this. This is one thing that you always see a lot of Terran players slip up on is unsieging every tank at once. He's inching his way forward. He's saying, I don't want you to come poke my tanks while while they're all moving at once. And now we get a first-person look at Stats' perspective.
I want to see where that Prism is. Obviously, the Prism was very low on HP, but the Prism did make it home. And I think a War Prism is going to be very, very important here against... Oh, well, there is that Prism. And we just saw him losing it against just a few Marines on the top side. Nate, that is a massive pick-off for our Mexican Terran.
It takes a lot of the wind out of the sails for him. Now here we have another weird base trade scenario where Stats is saying, I'm going to push in towards this third base, try to make my way to the natural, but we do have siege tanks to defend as that bio pushes its way into the natural.
He can't recall because he already recalled the War Prism less than a minute ago. And so he's going to have to run back all the way to this side of the map. That means he's going to end up losing this Nexus. Maybe he's going to end up losing the Immortal there. And even the Forges are a little bit vulnerable.
Great pickoffs. I mean, you deny the fourth base, you shut down the natural. His third command center was pushed off, but it's not dead. There's the SCVs repairing and leaving all the tanks at home. That's a great way of shutting down that type of big counterattack play that Stats did on map number 1.
This must feel like a very frustrating game for Stats, even though he's absolutely still in this. He's got Disruptors, he's got High Templars, he's got 3-3 upgrades finishing up soon. He's chasing down these Medevacs as well. It does feel like he can't catch a break. Every single time it feels there's a little bit of momentum on the side of our Protoss. He ends up losing something important like a War Prism or another Nexus.
Ghost Academy starting up now for Special. Give himself a way to mitigate those storms that will be heading his way, but I've talked about this all.
Whenever, he will never stop fighting. A vigilante, forged from a desperate need to bring those responsible to justice. Assassin, martyr, survivor. The Blighted Trilogy, a mirrored triptych, Ghost, Queen, Prophet. From traumatized child psychic to savior of the known galaxy, Sarah Kerrigan is complicated. Her love, her humanity, her vocation were forfeit to unflinching manipulation. Still she strode, strong and proud, and with no regrets, wrestled the devil for redemption. What is it about heroes and villains? Their dedication, their sacrifices, what they have lost, what they have won, the weight they bear, so that we don't have to. I can't wait to see what they do next.
The definition of inspiration to me is, here's a spark, now take it and go. And it's up to the artist to build it into something that's a bonfire.
I find inspiration from the natural world, things like textures, and for things like different animals and creatures. That's often the best place to get interesting reference that no one else is looking at.
One of my favorite game genres of all time was fighting games, and I think a lot of the Overwatch style and character design comes from that DNA of just playing tons of fighting games.
I think a pretty big event that was life-changing was my friend introducing me to D&D. The idea that you could be a hero with a sword and a shield really appealed to me.
For me, comics is a big thing that I get inspired by. I'm a big Mignola fan, so I read a lot of his stuff.
Anything for comics and movies and games, it's always going to influence the creators, and it's going to come out in the work we do.
I think you can get a lot of inspiration just by bouncing ideas off other artists, because people, see things different ways.
I'll be working on some piece of art. I'll be thinking it's the best thing in the world, and I'll see what the WoW team is working on or the Overwatch team, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so good. What am I gonna do? I have to make mine better.
So we constantly would bounce ideas off of each other and push each other like, oh, that was really cool how you did that bear skin. I'm gonna make my cat skin like this now.
Two brains are better than one, and if you can work together, chances are very good that you'll be able to come up with better solutions than you would have by yourself, and it will only make you a better artist.
So I think inspiration is that fuel, that gas that keeps artists going, and that's different for everybody.
Depending on who you ask, inspiration can come naturally, out of nowhere, or it's something you have to really work at.
You have to cultivate the inspiration. Inspiration is there. It's a gift for the artist. But a lot of times people won't give themselves the ability to find inspiration.
Ideas and different mediums are constantly going through your brain. And I think it's actually really hard to stop, but it's not until you do stop that now it's a lot easier for the inspiration to kind of come.
When you've got the germ of an idea, one of the best ways to make it into something new is to sort of mix it with other things that you know and like.
What am I seeing in the world around me, and how can I recreate that in my own fun way?
You take two things that might not have been ever combined before, and you're like, oh, that fits so well.
I think that is the challenge, but also in taking inspiration, it's important to understand it in your way versus somebody else's way.
You never know where you're going to find inspiration, so you should try to be open to any sort of experience that comes along.
Surround yourself with awesome things, inspiration can come. You should just always be thinking about, what can I create next?
I think the inspiration killer is looking at other people's artwork and thinking, oh, I could never do that. The better response, to creativity and creating artwork is, oh, that is amazing. Like, I want to do that too.
The longer you do art, the more you get to know yourself and get to know how do you kind of jumpstart your own inspiration engine.
I find the best way to just keep getting inspired is to just always be creating. Keep doing artwork. You're gonna get better. You have to practice every day.
What is up, Blizzcon fans? I am here with Lorraine Torres, and we are outside in front of the cosplay gathering at the infamous fountain in front of Blizzcon. Lorraine, as I understand it, you have been involved in this cosplay scene for a long time. So before we start, can you give us a little background on yourself and your involvement in cosplay?
Sure. I've been cosplaying for, well, at least at Blizzcon for about 10 years. And it's been incredible. My first major win over here was actually with the Mistress of Pain in 2009. So I've been in love with BlizzCon for a long time.
That is a long time, 2009, and as I understand it, this gathering has been happening even a little bit before then, and you have been a part of this community for many, many years. It's 2018 now. How has the community grown and changed?
Immensely. I mean, it started with like this ragtag group of people that just loved making costumes, and then all of a sudden it's just expanded to this huge community that helps each other, and they're incredibly talented. Every year they outdo each other, so it's like insane.
I've been standing here with you for a couple minutes, and over that time, you have recognized so many faces, and you've been able to point out some incredible cosplay achievements. We have now expanding wings, we have light-up weapons. The game of cosplay has evolved so much. What have you seen over the years that's been really changing?
Oh my gosh, everything from like thermoplastics to like 3D printing to some of these people are practically mechanical engineers. I mean, they're jack of all trades and masters of all of them in some cases. It's pretty impressive.
Well, you're going to be judging the cosplay contest this year. Anything you want to say to the fans at home?
Oh, keep your eyes peeled. I guarantee you will not be disappointed this year. It's going to be amazing.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and your Farrah makeup is incredible.
Welcome to World of Warcraft What's Next?
Hello, BlizzCon! Welcome to my very favorite part of every BlizzCon, the World of Warcraft What's Next panel, where we get to talk about what you have to look forward to over the next year or so in this game that we all love. So, where do we stand right now? At the start of Battle for Azeroth, in the last 2 months since the game came out, we have seen millions of brave adventurers journey to Kultiras and Zandalar and explore, meet and defeat new enemies, forge new alliances, make new friends, and yes, aid roughly 760 million turtles in making it to the water. It's a true stat. But in a lot of ways, we really do stand at the beginning of the journey, because each expansion in World of Warcraft represents a fresh start. It's a new world to visit, new stories to explore, new systems, new foundations upon which to build. And that's why I stand here excited to talk about the plans that we have looking forward to make Battle for Azeroth the greatest expansion that it can be. Now, there's a couple of pieces to this. First off, we want to continue the philosophies we introduced in Legion in terms of how we approach our patches, how we approach our content updates. We want to make sure that there's always a steady stream of content. Things to look forward to, things to experience, things to keep the experience interesting and varied. And so we want to continue the patch plan that we have, alternating major content updates with so-called .5 patches, and really have robust support from the start to finish. We never want to wait too long for the next thing, for the next adventure. But we also understand that a key component of that is the systems and the rewards that tie it all together. Those are the connective tissue that make the content meaningful. And none of that matters if the rewards are frustrating rather than fulfilling, or if the systems feel like they're letting you down. And that's something that we always know we need to listen, we need to work on, and it is our primary focus as we push forward. This is not something... Yeah, this story is far from over. We stand here at the first chapter in this great journey, and I couldn't be more excited to give you a little sneak peek at the next few chapters. So first off, now I know for many of you here and a lot of you watching along at home, Tides of Vengeance is old news. It's been on the test realm for a couple months, so I just want to give a quick recap just to set the stage for what will follow. So, key components of this update. First off, we have the new Warfront in Darkshore, as well as an update to the outdoor zone of Darkshore. As the Alliance strikes back, as the Alliance tries to reclaim this foothold in Kalimdor, to take revenge against the Horde for the crimes that they wrought upon Teldrassil in the shadow of this great tree. We also have war coming to the shores of Kultiras and Zandalar as Horde and Alliance assaults, add new outdoor gameplay as you rally to defend your allies' cities from the enemy faction's invasion. It's a clump of world quests leading to a capper experience. Again, reminiscent of the Legion assaults that we had back in 7.2, except this time around it's the enemy faction invading as opposed to the Burning Legion. We have new island expeditions that will take you to Jorindal and Havenswood, as well as systemic improvements to island rewards, the pacing of the experience, and the way that islands are spawned. We, of course, have an all-new raid zone, the Battle of Dazar'alor. And this is something that we are incredibly excited about. This is for the first time ever, what a villain means in World of Warcraft is typically it's embodied in the end boss of a raid. When you played Burning Crusade, well, Illidan was the one who was telling you were not prepared. When you played Wrath of the Lich King, you were seeking to climb Icecrown Citadel to confront the Lich King at the end. Well, in Battle for Azeroth, if the villain is the opposite faction, why should that not be expressed in a raid zone to tell our story? And so Horde and Alliance, for the first time, will have different experiences. As on the Alliance side, as you stage an assault of Dazar'alor, on the Horde side, as you rally to defend it. Different bosses, different narratives, all set in the same place to form one intertwining story. The war campaign, of course, continues, featuring some of our favorite diminutive champions. We'll get to see Gallywix and Mekatork really go head-to-head. Of course, heritage armor for non-allied races. Blood Elves, you can learn about your heritage. Dwarves as well, as you recover lost crafting arts. But that's some of the content. We also have a ton of systems improvements coming down the pipe, many of which have been in our test realm in recent weeks, others of which are soon to follow. We're taking a hard look at the Azerite armor system as a whole, tripling the number of traits for a given spec that are going to be in each piece in Season 2 and beyond, increasing the ways in which you can obtain them, whether it's the emissaries that have been available on the live servers, or the new currency and mythic keystone system that's coming in Tides of Vengeance, and more. We have a doubloon vendor to give you greater control over the rewards that you pursue through island expeditions. We're looking at emissary rewards as a whole. We made a ton of improvements to how reputation works across multiple characters. So if you have a transmog that requires a reputation, that's automatically unlocked for all of your characters. You shouldn't have to do the reputation multiple times. Or if you're trying to get that 100 Exalted Reputations achievement and feel tied to this character that you played a long time ago that has some unavailable achievements. Again, all of that progress should be account-wide. That's coming in Tides of Vengeance. We're also looking at the way Warfronts and their content is structured, and moving to a bit more of a daily cadence while you have control or while contributions are going on, so that when you finally claim Darkshore or you claim Arathi, it's not just like a mountain of quests to do all at once, bang them all out in 30 minutes, and then you're done for a week and a half, but rather world quests and other daily things that are there on a recurring basis while your faction controls it, so there are reasons to go back. Same thing with the contributions. Rather than front-loading it all as like a dozen turn-ins right away, every day there'll be new things that are required. It'll also smooth out the rate at which your faction unlocks more. We're continuing to rework PvP talents, making a wide range of class changes, and more on that front. We're also looking at how war mode works, making sure that we're properly incentivizing to calibrate risk and reward. And I think if you are the underrepresented faction at a given time, maybe you should get a bit more in the way of rewards to make war mode worth your while. The goal here was always to make sure that you can have a fun and satisfying PvP experience, but that it never feels like you're being inefficient or sacrificing some of your progression because you're jumping into a situation that's lopsided. A lot more improvements along those lines still coming. And so that leads to the natural question of when will this patch be in your hands? When will this update be yours? Well, as always, and as I said at the start, we want to keep content coming as quickly as possible. But at the same time, we know that it's essential to take the time that's required to polish, to respond to feedback, to iterate, to make it the best experience that it can be, to make it the experience that you all deserve. And so, while we'd love to get it to you sooner, Tides of Vengeance will be in your hands just over a month from now. December 11th in North America, 12th in Europe, 13th in Asia. And don't worry, the Battle of the Zarlor raid, that's coming early next year. You're not going to have to worry about progression over the holidays. And you still have a little bit of time to finish Uldir, so content should be paced as people are ready for it. Now, before I actually turn the stage over to a couple of my compatriots who are going to tell you all about 815 and what's coming beyond, I have one more little surprise I want to share. So, the Darkshore Warfront, as I mentioned, sets the stage for this climactic battle where the Night Elves return to the ashes of their homeland. And accompanying that is a narrative that lets us know more about Tyrande and others. And along the way, as you play through this content, there's a little in-game cinematic that you're going to witness that sets the stage for the battle to come. And so here, for the first time, I'd like to present Terror of Darkshore.
All of it? The entire shipment, down to the last sack of grain. This one's the only survivor.
One Samdi, do not take me yet. What happened? We were bringing supplies to the war front. Just like all the other times.
Here come the pain! Got to get these supplies to our soldiers by dawn.
What is it?
are coming.
Once only. Do not take me yet.
He expects us to believe this tale. No single night elf could do all that.
I know one who could. Ground for the Horde.
And so yes, a little reminder about the true nature of the Night Elves. You might think of them as this, peace-loving, tree-hugging race. But no, there's a reason why they truly strike terror into the hearts of the Horde, at least the Horde who know. So without further ado, let me introduce Ryan Schwader, senior game designer, who's going to tell you all about what's coming next after Tides of Vengeance.
Woo! Yeah! How about that? Oh my gosh. Thank you very much. Welcome to BlizzCon, and thank you, Ian. Tides of Vengeance is looking absolutely epic. But as a Pandaren once said, slow down. That's what the .5 updates are all about. In 7.3.5, we introduced you to the first 4 allied races. Void Elves, Lightforged Draenei, High Mountain Torrent, and Nightborn. With the launch of Battle for Azeroth, we introduced the Mag'har Orcs and Dark Iron Dwarves. And I'm happy to say that in 8.1.5, we have 2 more for you. For the Alliance, the Cultier and Humans, and for the Horde. I think the Horde won that one, so let's talk about the Zandalari first. You can see that their heritage armor is predictably ostentatious. That's the Zandalari, that's who they are. Recent unrest within the King's Council, as well as attacks within their borders, have left them destabilized. But in helping to stabilize Zandalar, you'll earn the Zandalari Trolls as an ally for the Horde. We can see from the classes available to them that they're an incredibly versatile people. Perhaps most notably, Paladins of the Horde. You like that? We can see from the racial abilities available to them that the Zandalari are lovers. They're lovers of the Loa with Embrace the Loa, lovers of gold with City of Gold, lovers of not dying with Regenerating, and of course, perhaps above all, lovers of dinosaurs with Pterodax Swoop. Their mount can be nothing other than a dinosaur. Now believe me, I tried to convince everyone to make it a lowrider, but no one was having any of it. I tried hard, trust me. Here's their druid forms. You can see they're heavily inspired by prehistoric beasts and dinosaurs. Looking really cool. Let's talk about the Cultier and Humans. Yeah, I knew we'd have to get to it sometime. So the Cultier and Humans are one of the most interesting new human cultures we've introduced since World of Warcraft's launch. They're capable seafarers, incredible shipwrights, and fearless explorers. And they're going to prove vital in the fight against Sylvanas' Horde. Oh, that guy looks buff. Here we can see their classes. Most notably, Human Druids and Shaman for the Alliance. Their racial abilities reflect their stout fortitude with Haymaker and Brush It Off, their artisanal versatility with Jack of all trades, and their bond with the Oath with child of the sea in Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. Here we see a conspicuous question mark. It's not a quest, don't try to turn it in. We argued for weeks, even months, about what the mount should be for a new human race. And finally, someone had an idea that was completely outside the box. This is not what you expect. Horses. It's what you expected. Of course a horse, of course. Here we see their druid forms, heavily inspired by the Druss culture. This is their unique wait, one of them seems to be missing. We get... They're always late to the party. I don't know what I was going to say, so let's just move on to the Darkmoon Fair. Silas Darkmoon, like every great amusement park tycoon, is always on the lookout for new ways to attract new visitors. We realized in a recent audit that something was missing. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, characters of all classes, I give you the Griver. Yeah. This roller coaster will be available at the Darkmoon Fair the next time Darkmoon rolls into town at 815. Now, the Darkmoon Fair might be the most common holiday in Azeroth, but there's many more celebrated throughout Azeroth and beyond. We know some of these are getting long in the tooth, and we'd like to update them over time. And this time in 815, we're taking the chance to update one of our favorites, Children's Week. There will be new quest lines for the Kultiran and Zandalari orphans. They're adorable. We know a lot of you are enjoying the micro holidays that we introduced in Legion, like Trial of Style and the Kirin Tor Tavern Crawl. And we'd like to add more of these as time goes on. In 815, we're returning to the Krasarang Wilds to go to the Wanderers Festival and celebrate Liu Lang and Shenzhen Zhu, the Great Turtle. We'll dive under the great reefs of Vashir, your favorite zone to swim in. And who loves t-shirts? Yeah, pretty much everybody. Free t-shirt day is coming to Azeroth. I have no segue to time walking. Time walking was introduced in Warlords of Draenor, so where better to walk back to than Warlords of Draenor itself? You'll get to experience some of the favorite dungeons that Draenor has to offer, as well as the Everbloom. And rewards. How about 2 mounts? Oh yeah. Now we realize that sometimes it's hard to get around. Who can tell me where the Azure portal is in Stormwind? Wrong. All of you are dead wrong. It's actually in Stormwind Peak, and we realize that as World of Warcraft continues to grow, it can be hard to find your way around. And in our first effort toward improving its travel, we're introducing portal rooms in both Orgrimmar and Stormwind. Now we're building these in such a way that we can actually add to them. So rather than finding yet another nook to shove a portal in the Cleft of Shadow, we can actually add to the portal room over time. Crafters, are you out there? I thought so. I thought so. We know you've been clamoring for content in Battle for Azeroth, and we're more than happy to oblige. We have new quest lines for each and every crafting profession. We call these Tools of the Trade, and the reward? Tools of the Trade. That's pretty evident. Let's look at a couple. Actually, let's look at all of them. I'll mash them all up there for you, because I know you're all going to want to see what your class is getting. A couple examples. Scribes, you'll get blood contracts. You'll have a quill that actually, when you're making these blood contracts, draws from the corpses of the dead around you and heals your wounds. Blacksmiths, you get to repair your own gear every once in a while, instantaneously. And when you're making new armor and weapons, you have a chance to make it indestructible. Now I'd go over every single one of these, but it's been a few seconds, so it's probably up on the internet already, so you can look at it there. Seems that in every expansion, the Brawlers Guild has to close its doors and retrain its combatants. And I'm happy to say in 8.15 it's going to make its triumphant return. Now, of course, we wanted to address balance and tier progression, add some new bosses like Mama Stormstout, Philip Carter Tracy, and Robe Robber Robert. But this time we want to do something special. We wanted to introduce a quest line that explored the seedy underbelly of the seedy underbelly that is the Brawlers Guild. In a world of Warcraft, it begins, as all great stories do, with murder. And you, as an esteemed member of the Brawlers Guild, you'll be charged with investigating this murder mystery in the only way you know how, by punching your way to the truth. And rewards? Shirts! So many shirts were destroyed in the creation of this brand new transmog set. Oh, what's that in the back? Do you want it to ride everyone's favorite mount or favorite brawler? Okay. How about Bruce, the mount? While we're in a fighting mood, let's talk about PvP Battlegrounds. Warsong Gulch and Arathi Basin remastered. Now, of course, we're doing visual updates to make the entire space beautiful. The sky is not the limit. It will actually even look better. But we're preserving the spirit of the original as well as painstakingly maintaining the PvP balance down to the very geometry of the terrain. What will they look like? Well, I'll explain to you over the next 20 to 30 minutes exactly what they look like. Or we can watch a video. Now, I will qualify this. These are works in progress, and they will look better by the time you get your hands on them. Let's take a look. Conspiratorial whisper. This next video I want to show you, they said not to show it to you because it's hideous. It's in the old Arathi Basin. Who could go back to that after seeing this? I'll show it to you anyway. Now, what if I were to tell you that was a group of players fighting against non-player characters? Thanks to AI advancements brought on by the Islands feature, you'll be able to play against AI bots in the new Arathi Comp Stomp Brawl. A25 and beyond. Well, it's going to exist, but I can't talk about it yet. Well, Schwader, why'd you make such a pointless slide? Very astute of you, fictional front row fan. I did want to show you just one more thing. New character models for both the Goblin and Worgen. All right, thank you guys very much. Now, without further ado, please put your hands together for the Baron of Battle Pets himself, Jeremy Muffinus Weasel.
Thank you, Mr. Schwader. Man, it is always great to be up in front of you guys for another Blizzcon. This gives me the energy for another year of making World of Warcraft. We've got a lot of awesome content coming your way in Tides of Vengeance, in patch 815 and 825. But if you can believe it, there is something that occurs between 815 and 825. We've got another big story to tell in the tale that is Battle for Azeroth. So let me set the stage for you really quickly. Following the raid on the Zandalari capital of Dazar Alor, both sides are reeling. We've lost troops, we've lost champions, we've lost a lot of ships. We're sort of licking our wounds and trying to figure out what the next move is. It is at this moment of weakness that the Naga make their assault. Across all of the shores of Zandalari and Kul Tiras, they make major attacks, dragging people under the waters. Something evil is going on deep in the seas. And taking a few of their remaining ships and their heroes and champions, both the Alliance and Horde set sail for the Great Blue Beyond. Now, what we find there is not what we expected. We find a crack in the ocean, a chasm, where surrounded by waterfalls, we find a new land. That is, in fact, a very, very old land. We're going to Nazjatar. Our trip to Nazjatar is the kickoff piece of our next major content update, entitled Rise of Ashara. So let's dig right into the continent of Nazjatar. We start here at the south, in the aptly named Ship Graveyard. Things don't go so great for our ships. And we'll work our way up north through the beautiful coral and kelp forests. We'll get to see the ruins of Zinashari and some ancient elven architecture, and ultimately make our way to the Naga city that surrounds Ashara's eternal palace. This is the home base of the Naga. This is the seat of power of Queen Ashara, and we will finally face her in combat. So let's talk for a second about the finer points of what you're going to be doing in Nazjatar. First, of course, we've got awesome new major story quests. We're going to head in here and take the fight directly to Ashara herself. We've got new friends to meet along the way. For the Horde, you will be meeting this beleaguered group of former Naga slaves that have been holed up in a cave just barely trying to survive. You will make new friends with a group of Gilblin, Makura, and Sea Giants who will be on our side and help us fight against the Naga. Now, for the Alliance, you're going to make friends with a deep sea tribe called the Ankoan that you see here on the right. This group has all but been wiped out by the Naga over the generations, and so few of them remain that they know they can never raise their tribe in population again. So those of them that remain have dedicated themselves to spending their life slaying Naga. we're going to help them get revenge. And last but not least, we want to focus heavily in this particular content update on replayable outdoor content. If you liked Suramar, Argus, Timeless Isle, Isle of Thunder, the Molten Front, we're even reaching back to our favorite parts of the Burning Crusade and Auchindoun's outdoor towers to grasp all those cool pieces of endgame systems and overlay them over the top. Our goal is that over the course of playing through Nazjatar, we've got new things to see every day. Of course, heading down into the depths that are owned by the Naga and Ashara, we will be meeting tons of brand new foes. Some of them have more old gaudy influence than others. Like this guy, Eyeball Jellyfish. I love this guy. And we will also be seeing the elite units of the Naga, of Ashara's units, including this powerful new Naga warrior and spellcaster. Along the same lines, we'll be getting brand new rewards, these awesome Naga-themed weapons and armor sets, and of course, new mounts. Now, for those astute mount collectors in the audience, you might notice something a little strange about this crab. The thing you hold on to is facing sideways. The crab walks sideways. It's 2018, we did it. And of course, we can't be going to a new zone without some new battle pets. Yes, he's wielding a tiny fork. All of this culminates in an assault on Ashara's Eternal Palace, the entry of which you can see here with this brand new bioluminescent Naga architecture. Ashara's Palace, our headlining raid of this patch, will include 8 bosses. We will be investigating a Naga hatchery. For all of those of you that have been interested in seeing how Naga reproduce, now is the time. There may even be an underwater boss. Really can't wait to hear your feedback on that one. And of course, culminating with Queen Ashara herself. It's a very exciting and gorgeous place to go. This place hasn't seen air in thousands of years. For the first time, you're going to get to see things that feel like they were dredged up from the seafloor. We've got a real quick video to show you. Please keep in mind, all of this is a work in progress and will undergo changes before it hits live. Enjoy. That's Nazjatar. Got a great shot of the kelp forest here. This is a piece of our concept art. But Nazjatar is not the only mystery that we're going to be exploring in Rise of Ashara. If you were an Alliance player that went through Tiragard Sound, you may have encountered this gentleman. A gnome that has been trying to figure out what's up with this crazy gnomish technology at this rusted vault. And he's been trying to get this vault door open. When you log in to Rise of Ashara, the door is open. And inside, you will find a transponder, a radio signal, that uses technology the likes of which no one's ever seen. So of course, the gnomes and goblins jump at the chance to figure out where it's pointing at. Yes, this is a gnome and goblin adventure. And what they find is a second new landmass for us to explore. We're going to Mechagon. The ancient lost city of the gnomes. We will begin our adventure out here on the Junker Wastes, where, beset by death robots, we will find that this is not a happy place. But we're going to meet some allies here as well. Both the Alliance and the Horde are going to be friends with a group that is being hunted by these robots and learn a lot of new things about them. Please welcome the Junker Gnomes. Now, the Mecha Gnomes span a variety of different types, and we're going to learn a lot about their culture. The group that we meet out in the Junker Wastes are those that you see here on the right-hand side. They're less mechanical. They're breaking down even a little bit. And what we learn from them is that there is a gorgeous society inside of yet another vault that we'll have to break our way into. And inside there, the higher caste gnomes live. Those that have given themselves over to their king, King Mechagon, and his vision to turn everybody into robotic components. In this society, the more robot parts you have, the higher up you go in society. And our group of Junker Gnome friends have decided that just wasn't for them. So we're going to help them break back into their city. There's a shot of the city right here, and King Mechagon's lightning-enshrouded palace up there in the background. We're going to be meeting a bunch of new robot enemies that are on the side of King Mechagon, and ultimately taking the fight to Mechagon himself. Now, what all of this outdoor questing experience ultimately culminates in is a brand new dungeon, or should I say, a mega dungeon. What's a mega dungeon? Well, if you remember back when we did Tarzan, we did a dungeon that was twice as long with 8 bosses that featured King Mechagon himself as the end boss. And it's mythic only for now, along with higher item level rewards and brand new and unique pets and mounts and items to collect. This is going to be an awesome double-length dungeon. We think you're going to love it. You're going to fight your way all the way out from the Junker Wastes, kill the killer death robots, bust your way inside, make your way down through the trash compactor, because of course that's how you bust your way into any great well-armored facility, and take the fight up to King Mechagon inside his lightning-shrouded palace shown here, where he of course is piloting a giant death robot. Let's take a quick look at a video showing us an early shot of Mechagon. Is Mechagon.
Need help? Be careful.
It's a really fun space. Anytime we do a goblin and gnome adventure, of course, there's going to be wacky hijinks. Okay, but what else have we got coming for you in Rise of Ashara? Well, we will be continuing to tell the major stories of some of our top-tier characters. We're going to be seeing what's next for Sylvanas. What are her plans?
For the Alliance. Greetings.
If you're a lore hound, you may notice we have a couple of things sprinkled in this talk that you may notice are a little interesting. We'll be seeing what's next for Saurfang, who saw earlier today. And on the Alliance side, Jaina and Anduin continue to be the linchpins of trying to stop Sylvanas' evil plans.
Light bless you.
Well met.
And we're going to be checking back in with Magni to see how the whole healing the world thing is going. Spoilers, it's not great. We're going to work with him. It's going to get better. If you like the heritage armors that we showed off in Tides of Vengeance for the dwarves and the blood elves, yes, please, yes, they're awesome. We love doing these awesome lore hits for some of our classic races, so we're going to be doing 2 more in Rise of Ashara. For the Horde, our ancient allies, the Tauren. You will be going on a spiritual journey with the Spirit Walkers to find out why things are restless in Thunder Bluff. And for the Alliance, we couldn't be going to Mechagon without taking one last check-in with our diminutive friends,
be careful,
the Gnomes. Of course, as a gnome, you are going to be blasting the heck out of a whole lot of trogs with a spaceship.
Well met.
And if you're a gnomish engineer, you'll notice that for the first time in a while, you get goggles that you can put up on your forehead. Okay, what else have we got coming in Rise of Ashara? Well, oops, sorry. Can we go to the next one? No? Next one? Technical difficulties? Okay, go back, go back. Back one more. Don't look. Thank you. Oh, we've got more island expeditions coming at you, like Ian was talking about. We've got a lot of great systemic improvements, including a doubloons vendor with pets and mounts and tricorn hats coming in Tides of Vengeance.
Need help?
We will be continuing to add new island expeditions in Rise of Ashara. The first one, which you already saw. If you were a huge lore hound, you were probably wondering, where was Crestfall, a Warcraft 2 map that was part of the Cold Kirin group of islands from way back when? This was the island in Warcraft 2 where you very first fought dragons and griffin riders. We're going to be heading back there, and you will be seeing some of the remnants of what happened during that fight way back in the day. And on the other side of the spectrum, we're going to a place called Snowblossom Village. This is a small Pandaren town, nestled away in the hills, where they've been farming for generations and fighting back against their evil enemies. The Verming are making a return, our awesome rabbit friends from Mists of Pandaria.
Or the Alliance.
May even see some Shadowpan show up, too.
Hey there.
Let's take a quick look at our new islands. Awesome. So this is a shot of our brand new Warfront coming in Tides of Vengeance, and in Rise of Ashara, we'll make another advancement to our Warfront system for all those of you that have been wanting to play along with your friends on Warfronts, that have wanted to have a higher difficulty thing to play against, that has large group content when your raid is down for the week. We will be introducing Heroic Warfronts. This is 10+ players. Bring whoever's in your guild and is online at the time. We've got new mechanics, new commanders, and with a higher difficulty and higher item level rewards, you're really going to have to make sure you head back and defend, or you might find yourself on the losing end of a warfront. For all of those that like PvP, we will be introducing a brand new arena. Amongst the clanking, whizzing gears of Mechagon is Mechagon Arena. And of course, flying is coming back, along with it. A whole lot of great new mounts, including the bee, the griffin, and these awesome mechanical parrots. Battle for Azeroth Season 3 will be beginning with a Nazjatar-themed affix, item level increase across the board, and a new PvP season along the same side. These are the new mounts for the PvP season, these vicious basilisks. And we've got this purple Gladiator's Proto-Drake. So running out of time, let's just do a quick recap of everything coming your way in Rise of Ashara. We've got Nazjatar, the Zone, Mechagon, the Zone, Azshar's Eternal Palace, Mechagon Mega Dungeon, the Gnome and Torrid Heritage Armor sets, brand new islands, Heroic Warfronts, the Junker Gnome Arena, Flying, and BFA Season 3. When is all this coming your way? Well, after 815. But suffice it to say, we're happy with the cadence of content that's coming out, and you'll see the PTR come up soon after 815 launches. Thank you all for coming out to watch our WoW What's Next panel. But that isn't the end of the story of Battle for Azeroth. In fact, we have other things coming your way as well in the future. But that's a story for another time. We really appreciate you coming out to watch our panel today. We hope you enjoy playing this content as much as we enjoyed making it. Please come out to our WoW Q&A panel tomorrow at the same time on this stage and ask all your questions. On behalf of everybody on the World of Warcraft team, thank you so much, and we'll see you in Azeroth.
Thank you for attending World of Warcraft What's Next. Coming up, Heroes of the Storm What's Next.
What's all this about a switch up? You're gonna instigate a change in heart. It's not a case of a real quick fix-up when it's an intricate and subtle art. Come back here, you're not done yet. You've done your part, but that's different. So raise your hands and show who we are. We are. punishment. And you're the master, and I am waiting for disaster. I'm feeling rational, so confrontational. To tell the truth, I am getting away with murder. It is impossible to never tell the truth, but the reality is I'm getting away with murder. I drink my drink and I don't even want to. I think my thoughts when I don't even need to. I never look back cause I don't even want to. And I don't need to, because I'm getting away with murder. I'm feeling rational, so confrontational. To tell the truth, I am getting away with murder. It is impossible to never tell the truth, but the reality is I'm getting away with murder. Getting away, 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 getting away. Somewhere beyond happiness and sadness, I need to calculate what creates my own madness. And I'm addicted to your punishment, and you're the master, and I am craving this disaster. I'm feeling rational, so confrontational. To tell the truth, I am getting away with murder. It is impossible. It's here. Ready on the balcony yet? Let's go. Brixton, ready to freak out. Coming in high. Go.